Joining me now is Dinesh D'Souza, conservative commentator and author of the upcoming book, United States of Socialism. Dinesh, good to see you. We know China essentially got Tedros elected to the WTO, but why is Gates defending the communist regime, knowing what we know about them in totality?
It's a little bit of a puzzle. I don't subscribe to the idea that Gates is part of some kind of a global conspiracy or he's trying to peddle his own drugs. I think his motives here are benign. But I think Gates is wedded to this globalist ideology. Now, the key point here is that globalism is the ideology of the coronavirus pandemic. Because think about it, globalization is the free movement of people, of goods. And that means that when you have a virus, it's going to spread very quickly because of the close and intimate global contact among people. Gates is a deep believer in this ideology, and it's this ideology that made the virus, however it started in China, spread so fast. So Gates doesn't want to point a finger at globalization, though. So I think he's trying to keep the finger pointed at Trump. So when he says it's a distraction from what? Well, it's a distraction, I guess, from the idea of the media pointing the blame at Trump, even though this is a Chinese virus let loose possibly from a Chinese lab, and the Chinese suppressed the data of its spread that could have put all the other countries on alert and prevented this from becoming the horrific outcome that it has become.
Well, Dinesh, you mentioned the globalism. Well, Bill Clinton's former UN ambassador, speaking of globalists, warning against blaming China for COVID. Watch.
It's counterproductive to blame China, to cut them off, to cut off the World Health Organization. We need China when it comes to North Korea to keep the sanctions on. 90% of the trade into North Korea goes through China. I would be careful about alienating China too much.
Does he have something, does he at some point there? I mean, they do make a lot of our drugs. South China Sea is pretty important. We have the North Korea issue.
Well, there's absolutely no question that we should be dealing with China, but the question is whether we should be dealing with China in a kind of promiscuous way, or should we be dealing with China in a kind of cautious way, recognizing that at many points, both in foreign policy as well as in trade, their interests are adversarial to ours. That doesn't mean you don't do business, but it means you do business with your eyes open.